Hello to you all, and welcome to Pyramid Energy. We're using different cards today, and we're using a different spread. In fact, I don't have a structure to the spread, okay? The reason why I feel like approaching this way is because I'm speaking to someone who, while you are no stranger to adversity and change, when it's you that's asked to handle the change, direct the change, you can tend to leave things to the point where, universe, your spirit guides, whoever sort of nudges you in a specific direction, pushes you out of your comfort zone. Okay? In front of me, I have the Direction Guardian, Choose Your Path. This card feels to me like someone who is currently feeling like they are being asked to achieve the impossible. Okay, so something has changed in your environment at the same time that something is changing inside of you. And you're kind of here being reminded what you're made of and who you are. Okay, all of these things that I'm seeing in this card, they are saying, okay, it's time to protect yourself. Okay, number one. Number two, you can protect yourself. You're supported, and you've actually got the, what is this word? It's coming across as like fortitude. It says here, fortitude means mental and emotional strength. It helps a person face pain, danger, or hard times with courage. It's not physical strength, but a quiet inner power to keep going without giving up. Exactly, okay? This lion is also giving me fortitude, okay? And then the eagle is saying you actually have, okay, so to remember the wider view, the perspective that you have on everything. So your physical eyes see everything, but you already have sort of this wider perspective of past, present, and future. So they're asking you to use all of that information that you have, okay? And when it comes to future information, what's interesting is they actually almost like swapped past and future for me here. It's like they're bouncing back and forth. There is information that you have learned in the past that you can now rely on. However disappointing some of these realities that you've had to face are, okay? They're saying that's valuable insight, valuable information that right now needs to not be ignored. So that is to say, in the past, maybe there are things that you were disempowered from directing. Okay? So right now you're the director in your life. The directorship is handed to the person with the most leadership and influence over the environment. That is you, is what they're saying. Okay? And so they're saying that before, you might have found that you were disempowered when it came to directing certain things, activities, paths, whatever it is, things that affect you and those around you. And right now, they're saying you're the leader of this ship and you have information. Let's say like before you would have used information, but you couldn't. And now you have it. So they're saying to now use it. Okay, because it's very important to... It's not about sort of fixing anything, but it's more about applying the information that you know into the directions that you currently take and lead. That's what they're showing me. Okay. And so that's what this inner compass is also giving me, because you are being given an opportunity to fly somewhere. I see that. There's so many wings on this card. So many wings. So you are almost being catapulted in a new direction, but you have not been told where you're going to land. But because you are you already have figured out where you need to land. Okay, so you've got that information. You know where you need to land. You've seen the wider view of things. Okay, and you are strong enough to get through this, but you must apply the information that you have and know. Even if you do not have physical evidence of some of the stuff that you know, okay? They are saying you do have learned experience it's giving me like, recognize the pattern. Don't ignore the bloody pattern. There's a pattern here. And now you're being asked to break out of that pattern. I don't know if they are referring to your pattern, and I feel like they are, but it's like both. It's like the pattern of the situation you're dealing with, the people that you're dealing with, the person that you're dealing with, okay? But there's a combination here, because it's not just that. You have influence over this direction. And so they're saying that maybe you haven't looked at it this way yet, but for every situation to have turned out the way it has, you have been one of the facilitators that have allowed for it to sort of pan out that way. So it's a combination of you and them. But they're saying to recognize your influence, to recognize your power, that you are the director of this ship. Okay? And I also see this thing of you leading. I see a whole lot of people out of a certain situation. And it's not like a crowd necessarily, but it's you and others. Okay? And for whatever reason, there is an understanding here on for some it's conscious, and for others it's subconscious. Okay? So some of them want you to lead them, and others of them don't really want you to lead them, but they understand that you are the leader. Okay, so it's like that. A bit of an unsung hero, it sounds like. And it also feels like, this is interesting, it's also coming across like unsung hero. It's like, there are certain people who will never credit you for your leadership, for your strength. Okay? And some of them even get in the way of your leadership and your strength. But they need you. They don't want to accept or acknowledge that they need you. Okay, so this is not to make you feel like they rely on you, because that's actually not the focus. This is very much about you, your well-being, your future, even your present, and those that you care about. Okay? That's what it is. And I also hear something around a need to facilitate and enable change to gain traction, is what I'm hearing. And what I'm getting with that is that there is a sense that at times, even though your desire is to allow things to gain traction, sometimes you get in the way of that. Sometimes you do. Okay, and what I'm seeing here is due to stubbornness and pride. And I'm hearing something strange. It's like not wanting to come across as a predator. Okay, I'm seeing this from the animals here. This idea of not wanting to come across as a predator feels to me like you recognize that you enjoy a certain advantage from your perspective. And you sometimes don't like to use that advantage because you feel like you see ahead further than others. And sometimes decisions you may make because of this perspective that you enjoy could put others in a situation that makes them feel compromised or makes them feel like they've been put at a disadvantage by you. So you sometimes fear being regarded as the perpetrator. But they're saying that to recognize in situations like this, okay, so however this is playing out for you, they're saying that each person is their own perpetrator, okay? And so there is a path that everything sort of needs to follow. And yes, sometimes you get in the way of that. But just because someone else thinks that they will be more comfortable doing things their own way, that doesn't mean that it's your fault when you choose to do things the way that they're meant to be done. That is not on you. What is on you is when you allow others to detract from your priority. When you allow others to detract from your leadership, from your insight, from your direction and your leadership. Okay, because it not only slows you down, it slows the ones that you care about down, okay? Because now we're taking, let's call it the scenic route, when we could go the direction as the crow flies, because you're flying. That's what's going on. You know, the scenic route is lovely, but it takes longer, and a lot can also go wrong when you take the longer route through the ground, when you've been given sort of a pass to bypass a lot of these things. And they're saying, you know, one of the key sort of decision making points, let's say, as to whether you should take the scenic route or fly to a place is, what does the road look like? What kind of road is it? Is it even going to be enjoyable? Is it going to be unpleasant? Is it going to be difficult? Do you have the time? It's all those things. Okay? So we take the scenic route when we know we have the time and we know that we've got a lot of lovely things that we want to slow down and see along the way. That's when we take the scenic route, but not when we feel like we don't have time and we feel like we've seen enough. This Medicine Mother card, honor your inner knowing, okay? It's giving me this energy of, you've seen this all before. You understand what needs to be done. You know, it's like putting you in two places for me. I see you as this one version of you that is so human, okay, and fallible and all of those things. And then I see this other version of you that people come to for advice and wisdom and all of that. They're saying to recognize that that version of you, these are both versions of you, and you are meant to be able to access this wiser version of you through these difficult periods, okay? And to apply the medicine that you've already mixed. In other words, take your own advice. Take your own advice. Something else is coming through with this card, and look at how decorated she is. And it reminds me of this idea of being a decorated leader. Okay, that means you've got all the badges, you've got all the, let's say, for all intents and purposes, the credentials. Okay, you have got the awards, you've been acknowledged for these things that you are capable of and have achieved, they're saying. So those kinds of things are proof, not just for others and not just for one moment, celebratory moment, whatever. These are things that you actually are meant to remember about yourself as you move through your life. It's like a doctor. You go see a doctor, they got their certificates, you know, put up against the wall, on the wall. And what happens there? A patient walks in and they're like, sure, this person knows what they're doing. So they're saying you need to remind yourself that you know what you're doing. I'm somehow also reminded about ethics, as difficult choices are being made under pressure. Okay? And that is to make every choice with integrity. Okay? And with the greatest good in mind. And so what that means to me here is doing something because you're afraid to make the hard choice is not doing something with integrity. And they're saying to lean on that, lean on your truth, lean on the truth as you move through, to do the thing that you would advise someone else to do. Okay? And to an extent, this feels a little bit like not bypass your feelings, but become aware of your feelings and where they get in the way. Okay? Because we don't like to bypass. Okay? But to recognize sometimes the way you feel as you move through is because of a projection of what is expected of you. You are an empath. You will always care, okay? I don't know, maybe you can't care too much. You can never care too much. But this is where now we can separate sort of the nuance between care and compassion. Have compassion, but move with care. And moving with care means moving with integrity. And that's the choice the doctor makes. The choice the doctor makes is not based on how the patient thinks things should be done. Okay, because the patient has come to see the doctor for a reason. The doctor needs to do what they know needs to be done. underneath the deck, I have summer, bask in joy and light. And this bee is really standing out to me. I get the sense that you've put in a hell of a lot of hard work on various aspects of your life. Okay. And it's also bringing up relationship, not in the sense between like two people, but more in the sense of relationships you've built. So this is within yourself and with others. Okay. There are, and with your spirit, it feels like there are things that are really working in your favor right now. Relationships that you've built that are working in your favor and doing a lot of the hard work and the heavy lifting on your behalf. To use them because they're saying that it's time for you to almost stop and smell the roses, to enjoy those moments. Okay, so now this is where they want you to embrace the scenic route, is within yourself, to almost bask in the joy and light of who you've become and how you can navigate, and to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. At some point, you'll work hard and work hard and work hard and work hard and, use your resilience and your strength and all of that. But I feel like you're still allowing other people to enjoy that which you bring more than you do. They're also bringing up faithfulness to your path. They're saying your path has been faithful to you, and so now it's time to reflect that faithfulness to it. You're allowed to be dedicated to your path. I feel like there's this idea that your dedication to your path is selfish. They're saying it is not. Okay, you would not be standing if it was not for your path, is what they're saying. Okay, so not only did like a past version of you set the path for you, set the vision for you, you are now here in your vision. And so stay dedicated to it because it has carried you. They're almost separating this idea, this human idea of being dedicated to self from the idea of the human remaining dedicated to the inner self that has got the human here. And they're saying, don't disappoint yourself. When we're dealing with other people, it is quite easy sometimes as we encounter struggles or whatever it is to point a finger and say, that person let me down. Because sometimes a person just lets you down. They're saying, though, don't be that person to you, because that's not as clear to see. And this is actually not a harsh reading. This is a reading for someone who really needed this message. And it is a very loving reading, because there are times you need to be reminded to look after yourself, to look after your needs, to protect your priorities and to protect your needs, and to not neglect what you know is what you need to do. Mountains, stand your ground. Okay, so this is like almost like mirroring, reflecting back to me what I've just said to you. This situation that you're facing feels like you're being asked to achieve the impossible. They're saying, hold your ground. You've got so much support. I can see that. Okay. And there's a hell of a lot going on that is not visible to you. Okay. And they're saying, stand your ground. There is something you are deciding on, and you know exactly what you want and how you want to do it. And they're saying, stand your ground. Do it. There are people that you're going to frustrate. I'll tell you now, because when I look at this mountain, I'm seeing rock, I'm seeing hardness, I'm seeing, what do you call it? Not being flexible. Okay, because you've been flexible on how you deal with people on certain things, and how you, you allow them to affect the direction and the path. And they're saying, stand your ground. You know exactly what needs to happen right now. They're highlighting this moment in your life as a big deal, in the sense that you are going to come out on the other side a different person because you've acted on your instinct. And what happens is that then you integrate that understanding, that experience of what happens when you follow your instinct, even in a time of difficult change. Okay? Because what can happen is that when we are faced with a big decision, let's call it a significant decision that changes how we do things around here, let's say, they're saying that it is easy to become afraid that you may make the wrong decision, okay, or that you make things worse, or whatever it is. But they're saying that's actually why you've been down this very long road, is because there are so many phases that sort of build you up and make you resilient in the face of adversity, that allow you to grow in confidence, to be able to trust yourself. The lessons start small. Sometimes they start bigger on a physical level, let's say, and then it sort of goes down a layer a bit further where your intuition starts to speak to you, and then you kind of are forced to follow your intuition, and then you start supporting your intuition and all of that, and then the situations start to grow in nature. So right now you're dealing with a kind of big decision without that sense of safety that the average human being has as they make huge decisions. Most people, when faced with big decisions, let's say high stakes decisions, they can tend to either blunder, okay, because they apply something that just doesn't make sense, or a rule that is obsolete, for example, okay, or they just stand still in the same place. And even when they are in that same place, they lack the awareness that they are just stifled, and that something, let's say, may get worse if they just stand still. You have like such a different vantage point on your life and your surroundings and your environment and the future. Again, you're in a different spot. You're in a different spot. You are so ready for this decision, and they're saying we actually have to make you face this decision, force you to take the stand so that you can understand something about yourself. You need to understand this about yourself. And they're saying later down the line, you're gonna compare this moment to decisions in the future, and you're gonna look at this moment as like so easy. It's gonna become easy. And they're showing me like, look back into your past and some other decisions that you've had to make that are difficult to change things up. Remember how you felt during that moment or those moments. Remember how you felt and how insurmountable the decision felt and the situation. Whereas this version of you now, put in that spot that you were in, would trust your instinct, would trust your direction, would trust your decision. Literally, it would like be not even think twice. Obviously, this is what I need to do next. Duh. It feels like that. And so they're saying expect the same. Expect the same. And that's why you are put in these decisions, so that you can learn this about yourself, to get to know yourself, what you're made of. Okay, because this is about moving in leaps and bounds, growing in leaps and bounds. And so your ability to hold big decisions, your capacity to hold big decisions and big changes grows as you grow. Okay, and so you're growing. They're saying these are growing pains. I'm going to leave this message here. Thank you all for being here. I hope that this message landed with whoever needed it. It felt quite specific. Okay, and I was just opening the windows in the bedroom and saw this deck of cards, and I was like, it's speaking to me today. And so I also feel like, you know, I've been doing the Celtic cross generally and using the same deck, and I haven't wanted to change. I've really been enjoying it. And I'm not saying like I'm not going back or anything, nothing like that. But it was more reflecting to me how big, how different the space that you're currently in feels. It feels like things are being switched up on you. It feels like you're going to need to pull on a different part of yourself. Okay, and it feels like you're going to just need to trust yourself. That's been the energy. Sending you all so much love.